All right, looks like some people are starting to jump in here, so we can get started. So we got 1 hour, um, and I'm here at my warehouse. My name is Matt, and I'm the owner of Handcrafted Movement. We build tiny houses, obviously. We are currently working on one just over my shoulder in the warehouse. I was going to do a live video tour, but it sounds like there might be some technical issues, so I just went in there a few minutes ago and shot a video with my phone, and we're going to see if we can share it with you, and I'll pause it along the way and just chat about some of the details of the tiny house. So let's see here if I can share this with you all. Let's see. Shoot. So let me pause here. Can you guys confirm that you can see this video, the start of it anyway? Okay, can't see it yet. Let's try that again. Your entire screen. Oh, that didn't do it. How about now? Let's try it one more time, and then if not, maybe we'll try it on the end of the chat. Is that doing anything for you? Okay, I'm getting a lot of yeses now, so I think people can see this. Sweet. Okay, so this is just here at our warehouse right now, and we usually work on 2 tiny homes at a time, but right now we just have one going. So this is a 31 foot. That's the Iron Eagle sticker. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Iron Eagle trailers at all, but yeah, they're definitely my favorite. I've been all over and looked at a lot of trailers, and definitely Iron Eagle is my favorite to build on, and it's convenient because they're just down the road here in Portland, Oregon. And what's going on here? You guys still seeing this okay? Okay, I'm getting some yeses and a few that say no, so I'm just going to keep going here. If anyone has any technical help, I could probably use that. So yeah, Iron Eagle is my favorite trailer to build on. This is our little shop, our warehouse. So we've got a bunch of materials that we keep on hand. Obviously, all the different saws, nail guns, everything we need. A little spray booth and sanding booth. Yes, I can expand the video to fill my screen, but then it blocks the questions so that I can't see the questions. So that's my only challenge. I can try to move the questions over so that it okay, I'm going to keep going here. So like I said, this is a 31-foot tiny house, and it's a triple axle. Trailer's rated for 20,000 pounds. These ones usually come in around 13,000 pounds. And okay, people are saying they can see this. This is a good sign. So the 31-footer, and this is kind of what I consider the front of the house. We've obviously got the front door, and we try to put the majority of our windows here. And this has a two-tone paint job. This particular house is going to California. And the majority of my tiny homes, I just build speculative, meaning that we just build what we want. And then when we finish it, then there's usually buyers that are ready to buy. We do a few orders, but for the most part, it's just speculative. So this particular one is going to clients that bought one about a year ago. And the actor, who will remain nameless, is one of the main actors for Star Wars, and they're doing filming on the latest movie, but it's shut down with the whole virus situation. So they are living in one of my current tiny houses, and they want to, they need another one ASAP. So we agreed to build one for them and started this one last Monday. And we need to get this done by Wednesday. So I actually just painted the interior last night about 1 o'clock in the morning, finished about 1:30 with the interior, spraying the interior. And then we pulled all the plastics this morning off the windows and off the floor, and I think it looks pretty good. So right as you walk in the front door here, you've got a space for a couch. That window is 6 feet wide, 4 feet tall. So you got about 80 inches. It seems like a lot of the couches and sofas, especially the sleeper sofa kind, are right in that 78 is about as short as you're going to get, and up to about 85, 86. And so I try to leave space between where the bedroom wall starts and where the wheel well is. I try to squeeze as much space as I can out of the plan so that you can fit, the biggest couch possible, or you could do a little smaller love seat and have a little bit of just space between where the kitchen starts. So on the right side is where the kitchen is going to be. And so we've got that window back there. I usually try to offset the windows a little bit so you have an equal amount of light coming in the house throughout the day. So with the front of the house that we looked at earlier, we have a window up in the very front of the bedroom, and then we have a little window a little bit further down for the dining area, and then kind of in the middle and the back, now behind the couch. I've done a window there, and the mini split unit will be installed above that window, which I've seen a lot of mini splits that get installed on the ends of houses, which is definitely the most convenient as far as install, but I try as much as I can to put the mini splits towards the middle of the house, just so you can kind of have even heat and air conditioning distribution. So we've got that little area for a living space, and then you can see between that opening is the downstairs bedroom area. So we've already built doors that will be on a barn door track that will be hidden behind those panels. So that's about a 48-inch wide opening. So this particular client is going to use this tiny house or tiny space as kind of a schoolhouse and secondary house, because their kids are out of school because of the virus, and so they're going to use this as a little bit of a schoolhouse and overflow from their current tiny home. So in that front area, I usually shoot for getting, and I just want to say that it looks like you can see a lot of questions coming in, which I'm not going to totally be able to answer at the moment, but at the end, I'd love to answer whatever questions you may have. But yeah, in that front bedroom area, we have 91 inches in the interior as far as the width, and then we have about 81 to 82 in depth. And so I usually shoot for that number because typical king size and queen size beds or mattresses are 80 inches long. You could get RV short mattresses, which are closer to 75 inches long and save a few inches of space there. But I want to plan for the buyer being able to have the maximum flexibility down the road, whether they want to orient the bed and the headboard on the wall with no windows or whether they want to turn that mattress. So I usually shoot for about 82 inches of space inside the bedroom. And so this one, you can see the cabinet there. Typically we do a combination of a built-in ladder with a closet on the back side and sometimes a TV, sometimes a fireplace. With this particular one, they just wanted maximum open space. So we're just doing kind of a built-in cabinet there. I've got a TV that's going to go in that center slot that will fit in there just perfectly. It's on an arm, so it's adjustable. And then above, we just did a little arch top. So that's a really fun component to build. We start with a 4x8 sheet of plywood, and then I just trace out the entire face of that and then cut all that out. So it's just a one-piece face frame. And then we 45 the corners. So it's a really nice, beautiful piece. When it's all said and done and painted, it looks like some really substantial built-in furniture almost. And so that's what's happening there. And then in the lower holes there'll be some doors that will be installed in there later. And above the bedroom, you've got a loft. The loft in the back of the tiny house is much bigger. We typically go 80 inches of head height underneath the loft floor in the back because the bathroom's underneath it. And then with this loft in the front, we typically go 83 inches of head height underneath considering that downstairs bedroom being kind of a master bedroom. Or we've had people use them also for home offices, but considering that you would be spending a significant amount of time of your day in there, we try to give a little bit more head height in there. So this loft is a little bit tighter than the loft in the back, and we will be building an oak ladder that will have hooks on it that you can hook in the middle there. And then when it's not in use, you could either store it up in the loft or you could hang it on the wall. So that's what's going on there. And here's kind of the view from the bedroom. One of my guys just installed that chandelier probably an hour ago. When I took this video, we were installing that chandelier. First time I've used that chandelier. I really like that one. So this is kind of the view, down the corridor of the house. Considering the length of the house in relation to the width, 31 feet long, 8.5 feet wide, it's obviously a long corridor. And so I just, think about that in regards to design, that anything that I can do to make it feel a little bit more like a square space and not such a long corridor, I think is helpful and makes the house a little bit bigger. And so, also because of the weight of the house and the different components and the way that the trailer is designed, these particular trailers from Iron Eagle are a 60-40 weight distribution, meaning that it's a triple axle, so the center axle is at the 60-40 point, so 60% of the measurement of the length of the trailer is from that point towards the very front of the trailer, and 40% is towards the back. I've found that even with putting some of the lighter weight components on the front, like the bedroom and the living area, which are pretty much just airspace, and putting heavier components on the back, like the bathroom, cabinets and shower and refrigerator and oven and that sort of thing. Even with putting the heavier components towards the back, these particular trailers they're ending up a little bit heavier than I would like on the front. So that's usually why I'm putting the lighter weight components on the front. And so these typically weigh in around 13,000 pounds, maybe 13,500. But the weight on the tongue of the trailer is closer to 2,000 pounds. So it's a little bit heavier than you would like if you know anything about towing, but they seem to tow fine. So this view is, looking towards the back of the trailer. I usually put the bathroom in the back and put the main loft above the bathroom. So kind of at the midpoint of the house there, you see the kitchen. To the left will be cabinets, and I think it's about 9 foot, almost 9.5 feet of countertops that will run that length. And then on the other side will be a dining table that will be built in with a bench. And so this one's going to be fairly similar to maybe about the last 6 or 7 tiny homes that we've done. They've been fairly similar. And so I've definitely tried a lot of different layouts and have found that this is kind of the good middle ground where you can get a lot of different, uses out of it. So with this layout, the table will be fixed in this case. I've done some with folding tables, but I kind of like if you can fit in a table that feels substantial and that you're not having to fold tables before you can eat your breakfast in the morning and it doesn't feel like it's rickety. Definitely my goal is to, create, almost furniture that feels substantial, feels like a real house, and that is less of a compromise if you can. And so you can see in the kitchen, we've got some storage above the window. I always try to do at least one window in that kitchen that can open. And so that's a Tafco window from Home Depot. It's 32 wide, 24 tall. I really like those windows. It's a awning window, and so it opens up like that. And we've got a big storage cabinet above. We'll be putting lighting there. You can use for task lighting. Got a few power outlets, and we've got I guess we're going to the loft. So this is the main loft upstairs. We got right around 4 foot of head height at the highest point there. You got a window in the back, number of power outlets. We'll be putting some wall sconces on either side of those windows. You could definitely fit a king size mattress up here. And some of the lofts, we will do more of a screened divider to give a little more privacy. With this particular one, we're just going to be doing a black iron pipe railing, and that's all the client wants. And to the right, or to the left, in the kitchen, we've been doing these little hood vents recently, which have been kind of fun. That we cut it in a way that when it's closed, it looks like it's almost sealed, but then you can just grab it there, and then you've got a little bit of storage above, and you've got venting to the outside below to capture any cooking fumes and smells. I mean, that's definitely an important thing, I think, to consider whether you're doing a DIY build, is just to make sure you've got some ventilation to the outside in such a small cooking space. That's pretty important, that you don't have smells lingering. And nice big shelf above, and then opposite of that is a stairwell, and we try to carve out as much space as we can and not close off any space or have any dead space if we can. So under the stairs, you've got a little bit of a pocket of storage, and then the fridge will go there, a 10.1 cubic foot fridge. And then now we're entering towards the bathroom. So we've got a barn door that will slide on a track. So it'll be tucked within the bathroom, that will slide on a track to close that. And the toilet will be going there. We've got a window behind the toilet, and we've got a shower that's going to be a 4 foot. It's a 4 foot shower, so 34 deep, 48 wide. That's a one-piece shower. I've done some of the shower kits and the tile showers and whatnot, but I just feel like the one-piece fiberglass is definitely the lowest maintenance and has pretty much no opportunity for leaking. And so that's why I do that. And we've got a little picture window there for when the vanity cabinet will be there, so you'll have a little bit of natural light coming in. And then you've got a closet space there that's 40 inches wide as well. And typically we pre-plumb for washer and dryer and for a drain and power and all that, but this particular client didn't need that because they already have one of our tiny houses with the hookups, and they already have a washer dryer in there, so they don't need a second one. So in this one we didn't do that, but we've got the power box there, and some little built-in seats on that one-piece fiberglass shower. So here's the view from the bathroom. So I'm seeing some questions. I'll try to get to a few of those maybe or maybe I'll just finish out this video and then we can chat about questions. So yeah, this is the current one we're working on. We started this one last Monday, and then we're planning to finish it by this next Wednesday. So we've been under a little bit of a tighter timeline with this one. So that is that's that video. I hope that worked for all of you. It sounds like it. Most of you could see that. And so let's see some of these questions. Someone likes the two-tone. Is it 10 foot wide? No, this one's 8 foot 6 wide. Name of the company is this Handcrafted Movement. So you can find me at handcraftedmovement.com. Measurements, this one's 31 feet long, 8.5 feet wide. Do you design the trailers around the house design or vice versa? I would say we don't manufacture the metal trailer frame, and so we're getting that from Iron Eagle Trailers. They do have some flexibility with what they can change, but I just typically get their 30-foot frame, and then off of that we can build a 31-foot tiny house. So cost of this tiny house, this one is $83,000. What is this particular model? This one doesn't have a name as it's just a custom one. And had you considered Skylight Window? We've done some Skylight Windows. I guess I don't have any major objections to them on some of the flatter roofs. A Skylight Window would have worked on this one because this one has a 612 pitch, but I try to make sure the roof is pretty pitched before doing Skylight Windows, just to make sure you don't have any leaking in the future. And let's see. Nice idea with the vent. Yeah, that's the first time we've used actually this 10-inch vent that goes just straight out. We've used a lot of traditional house 30-inch wide vents that have a number of components to be able to go from around to get to a 3.5 by 10, get out of the house. But this one seems a little bit more efficient and gives you more space in that upper cabinet. So that's why we've tried it. So I'll be curious to see how that works. The vent is 110 power, pocket doors. I guess I just haven't been the biggest fan of pocket doors myself. They definitely take up, a lot more space than a barn door. And yeah, those dividers, they are painted plywood. So yeah, we use all cabinet ply. Most of the time it's birch, sometimes maple. Possible to flip the layout with the bath in the front, bedroom in the back. Yeah, that would be possible. You just need to consider the weight, that it would end up being a little bit heavier on the front. Let's see. How many man hours in this unit? Not sure. I think it's probably about 350. This one will have a mini split. We just need to install it. Brown is the brand of the bathroom exhaust fans, BROAN. And what's the longest? This is actually the longest that we do. I started with 24-foot trailers, and then the manufacturer Iron Eagle does 2-foot increments. So they have a 24, a 26, and a 28, and a 30. And so I started with 24s and then went to 30, and now we're at 31 with the way that we're framing it. But that's about as long as you're going to get with a bumper pole trailer before you go to a gooseneck trailer. And I just I enjoy the constraints of having to fit everything in that size any longer than that. And I think they start to get a little bit funny looking, especially the gooseneck ones just start to look a little bit too big for me. And at that point, just maybe go to a single wide mobile home. And so I like the idea of trying to fit it in. I think, this tiny house movement started out as a pure thing where it was 16 foot and 18 foot and some of these really small spaces. And now that they've grown, I think there's a limit where it's good to actually cut yourself off. So I've personally kind of cut myself off at that 31 foot mark, and I'm happy with that and feel like I can get a downstairs bedroom in there comfortably. And so I think we're halfway through. So I'm going to show you, see if I can share my screen here, and show you just a few quick pictures and slides. So I think you can, hopefully you can see that. Can everyone see that? Oh, perfect. You can see it. Okay, that's good. Wonder how I click between these. So this was my first tiny house. I grew up on construction sites and have been part of the building industry really all my life, but it was about 2010 when I came home from some international mission work that I decided I wanted to get into woodworking and photography. And so I just literally went and bought a saw and a piece of wood and started learning how to do woodworking and work with my hands. And I started making, I made this desk that I'm sitting at. I just started making so much furniture and longboards and all kinds of things. And after a while, I got a little bit tired of that. And I saw these tiny houses start to come on the scene. And I had obviously a background in construction. And I just thought it was just the perfect combination of my background in construction and the skills that I was starting to gain in working with my hands and working with wood. And so, yeah, I started to build my first tiny house, and the first one took about 10 months. I kind of stumbled through it, like probably a lot of you did, and a lot of you are going to. It's kind of a whole new pioneering way of building an actual house on a trailer. And so I kind of stumbled through that first one, and I really had a lot of fun with it, and I learned so much from that first one. There we go. And so I finished it, and that was what it looked like when it was done. And I parked it on my property. I was going to use it for a little guest house. for people to come and stay in and maybe do Airbnb. But as I was reflecting on it, I realized that, man, I just had so much fun building that first one, and I couldn't stop with just one. So I decided maybe I could sell this thing. So I put it online and put it up for sale, and I was just shocked that it went on the Today Show and went all around the world, and I just started getting hundreds of emails from people that were interested in this thing and were wanting to buy it. And I knew I had kind of stumbled into some sort of business. And so I went to Gilroy, California, and here's the interior. You can see how that first one turned out. And for time's sake, we'll jump into the next one. Sounds like the pictures are nice and big. That's good, you can see them. So there's a few more pictures. So being that this talk is about space planning and design, I think you can see on the picture on the right, I've got this kind of funky looking side table that I just think with tiny house designs, you need to actually really think outside the box. And I think I've heard it said that the definition of, or having original ideas that add value is the definition of creativity. And so I just had a number of things I wanted to accomplish with this little side table. I wanted to get some greenery in the house and some plants, but I also wanted a place to, put books and put storage. So with this, that being an example, I just kind of came up with a little design for a side table, and I used old lath strips, which are like all reclaimed pieces of wood, and I put concrete on top, and I cut this kind of shape out and had the plants pulling out of there, and you can't quite see it, but there's a little black circle in the back there. That's actually a PowerPoint that you press it and it comes up, and there's like 5 PowerPoints there. So it's got a lot going on. And so that was just coming out of an expression of me and what I'm interested in and what I'm skilled at, but also, for this specific space, what I was trying to accomplish there. And so I think that's with with tiny houses, you're naturally forced to try to come up with some outside the box solutions. And so that was fun just to be discovering that. And yeah, I put a little spot there for your morning cup of coffee. And let's move on. So we got a lot to cover. So this was another one that I did. I think this was the third one that I did. And this one was called Urban Craftsman. And I did, quite a dark paint color there on the lower portion, which is a little bit counterintuitive, obviously, with such a small space, but it seemed to just really kind of work out. And I got a bunch of old reclaimed oak beams that I found there in Portland. And so I kind of, designed the house out of finding all these old oak beams and used them pretty extensively for like the loft support and the beams on the ceiling. And so this is another one that even that little subtle beam on the wall I found really creates almost what I call a space within a space. And so I think it's important in such a small space to have not just one long run-on building, but to create little subtle transitions with your spaces. So you can have a living area in this particular house that's painted a specific color and has the paneling, and then you've got a beam that is kind of informing your transition from there to now you're entering into your kitchen and your eating area, and the color and the wall texture material changes there. And so I just think that's important to do as well. And this is another one that I did. So most of these tiny houses are built speculative. I would say 95% of what I build is speculative, meaning that I don't work with buyers. Me and my guys just build what we want. And we kind of have to have a buyer in mind. And so with this particular one, I just had a vision of being a writer's retreat. And so you can see under the stairs there that I've created, instead of having all storage, which most of the time in the stairwell you would have a lot of storage. I probably should have put a better picture in here, but I created a little bit of a writing desk, a little writing nook there, put a window, and put a beautiful slab of walnut. And so this one was kind of set up for that. And that was in my mind's eye of who would buy this tiny home. And it ended up that a writer, kind of a famous writer from Canada, Anne Boskamp, she saw it on the internet and she reached out and she wanted to buy it. And so she ended up buying this book, and she uses it on her farm for writing her bestsellers. And some of her writer friends come there as well, just as a little retreat, just to write in that house. And so it's been so cool to see, even on the internet or on Instagram, that like she'll be broadcasting from this tiny house doing different videos. And so that's been pretty neat. Just that I had a vision of creating a little house for a writer, and that's exactly what happened with that one. And this was another one that I built. This one, kind of did black and white. I know, the white exterior with the black windows is really popular, and I kind of held off on doing one like that for a while, just because I thought it was too easy, it was too trendy, and everyone was doing it. But yeah, as soon as I did it, I loved it, and it seemed like everyone else loved it as well. So this one ended up going to Joshua Tree, California, and it's currently on Airbnb, and it's been stayed in hundreds of times on Airbnb, and so that's been neat to see the reviews. I see a question about the porch. I build the porch in a way, it's all cedar posts, and they all just lock together, kind of like Lincoln logs, and so you just pack that up. And I would build it in a way that it can go inside the house for transportation. So far, 100% of my buyers are moving these one time and then setting them up, permanently or semi-permanently. And so at this point, we don't really plan for a lot of, consistent travel. And so, but with the deck systems, we obviously have to make it in a way that they could fold it up and move it down the road and set it up. So someone's asking what size this one is. This one's a 28 foot by 8.5. And let's see. And this is just in my front yard. So you'll notice, if you follow any of my work, that usually in the wintertime, my exterior pictures don't look all that great, because my front yard it's a little bit too soft. There's too much rain. And so you would create a mud pit if you pulled a tiny house on there in the winter. But in the summertime, it's definitely always rewarding and fun to pull the tiny house onto the front yard and do a photo shoot there. So any other questions on this one before we move on to the next? Solar panels. No, this one doesn't have solar panels. Photoshop in the yard in the winter. That's true. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next one. I guess one final point with this one is just that you can see that we've got a shed style roof line, which for the most part is the easiest to build. But in the middle there, we've got it stepping down a little bit. And so just that simple little step down, I think it makes the house look better, and it kind of creates two little towers for the lofts. But then it has that center portion that steps down. But just that simple change probably adds, 30 man hours in messing around with the metal roofing and the interior. But on a lot of them, we'll do that detail, and I like it personally, and I think people like it as well. So, pictures of the interior, you could go on handcraftedmovement.com. That particular house is called Pacific Harmony. And so let's keep going here. Just got a few more. This one was called the Topanga, and it ended up going to California. Over half of my tiny homes ended up going to California, so the buyers there seem to like them. So I'm going to show you this one, and then I'll show you one more after that. And I'm always just surprised, and it's one of my favorite things is just through little changes of colors and materials and textures that you can almost create two very distinct different houses. And so typically mine end up going lighter and kind of brighter theme, but this one was a little bit more subdued, a little bit more masculine, a little more cabin feeling. And so just with the different textures and materials and paint colors and backsplash and everything, we went that direction. And so this one obviously has that downstairs bedroom area, has a loft above it, and then from where I'm kind of shooting the picture, I'm standing in the bathroom and there's another loft above there. Let's see some questions. What's the metal railing called? So that's actually just black iron pipe. So it's actually a plumbing pipe. So you can just buy that at Home Depot or Lowe's or anywhere. And it's kind of like just putting together Legos. You just screw it together and then you just got to sand it real nicely and get the oil and get the stickers off. And then you got to prime it, clean it, prime it, paint it, and put a clear coat on it. I don't know how to weld, and I'm not a huge metal guy. I'm definitely a wood guy. And so I end up just doing those type of metal railings. But obviously if you have welding skills, it's easier to, probably just create your own custom railing it with welding. And let's see. Yeah, there's a closet. There's a number of little closets on this one. There's a closet tucked behind the staircase. And then in the bathroom, there's also some closet space. So some of them, being that the majority of the tiny homes are being built speculative, I don't know the exact buyer. So some of them I do much more open concept and less storage, and that would be more geared towards the Airbnb guest house buyer, which is probably 2/3 of my buyers are more Airbnb or guest house situations. And then some of them I'll definitely do more, utilitarian and have more practical storage. That definitely cuts down a little bit on the open concept, but has a lot more storage built in. So, and Farmhouse Sink is from IKEA. Okay, I'm gonna move on to the next one. So the next one is, I believe if I remember right, we framed the walls at the same time, but then with the, colors and materials went in very different directions. So you can see how just with colors and materials, like they've gone they give you quite a different feel. This one feels very different than the last one. So this one was called the Pacific Harbor, and this one went to the Seattle area. So this one, we did not do a loft above that bedroom, and so that bedroom has a real tall ceiling and has some storage up above. Any other questions on this one? And you can see we did this little curved kind of shelf that's pretty subtle because it's painted the wall color. We did that all the way around. And so I find most common books are about 6 to 6.5 inches. So we usually try to do, a good number of shelves are at least that deep. And so I think that was about a 7 or 8 inch deep shelf. And we did lighting, LED lighting on the top side of it. So when you turn that on, it kind of shined up at night onto those beams and had a really cool effect. So what kind of door is that? We build for the most part, we just build our own doors. So we just made that from scratch. And the AC unit, I'm not sure, I don't remember exactly on that one, the brand of that one. And what's the design name of the writer's one? I believe that one's called The Tiny Getaway. How much for this one? This was just a one-off, but they're all kind of, high 70s into the 80s, depending on, what kind of features they have. So we just have a few more minutes here, so I'll just try to get through these last slides. So my favorite wood is walnut. I love using walnut and get a lot of it from a place called Sustainable Northwest, which is a non-profit lumberyard here in the Portland area. So lots of the trees that pioneers planted in the early 1800s here in the Portland, Oregon area are now becoming diseased and decayed, and they were kind of getting turned into firewood. Now buying them, turning them into slabs of wood for tables and for stairs and for ladders and for countertops and all that. And so that's really rewarding for me to use that type of wood and give it a second life in someone's house. I love using it for headboard slabs. That's always fun. And so that was one of my favorites here, where we integrated a little side table with the headboard slab. So we got about 10 minutes. I guess, does anyone have any turnaround time? Kind of depends what else we're working on, but in this case, with this one, like outside, that's about 13 days to build that one, but that's a little bit faster than normal. And beetle kill. Yeah, I don't use a lot of beetle kill pine. It's not totally my style, but definitely appreciate ones that are done with that. Any other questions? What's the most requested feature? I feel like I get a lot of requests for a soaking tub, and I've done one, the Urban Craftsman, of a soaking tub, and I've been considering doing another one of the soaking tub, but haven't had a chance to research which kind of tub to do exactly at the moment. But that's probably, it seems to be the most requested feature that we haven't done a lot of, is like a bathtub, and so I might be doing one of those soon. How many on your crew? Just a couple guys, just a handful of guys. What's your favorite part about building tiny houses? I think for myself, after I came from kind of the traditional residential world and was involved in about 1,000 residential houses, and after a while, it was just like, cookie cutter houses one after the other, and I just really got kind of burnt out by that. I'm a little bit tired of that, and just tired of just it strictly being a transactional business. And so with the whole tiny house thing, it's been really rewarding, fun, just with each of them to take in a different direction. We haven't done any exact copies or repeats yet. Every single one kind of goes in a little bit of a different direction. And so I enjoy that process. That's definitely my favorite thing. And I've got, ideas for the next 100 tiny houses if I wanted to. And so that's probably my favorite thing, or most rewarding thing, is just kind of having an idea in mind and then, executing on that and ordering materials. And then a few weeks later, like seeing it in the tangible realm. And that's fun for me and rewarding. And I'm worried the walls would crack during transit. We use all 1/2-inch cabinet ply for our walls, and we glue it and staple it down, and it seems almost unavoidable that you're going to get a little bit of hairline cracks. Some seem to be worse than others, but I mean, you just buy a couple $1 thing of spackle and some caulking and some touch-up paint, and within an hour you can have those fixed up from transport. And once you arrive to your site, and it seems like the house stabilizes once you set it up on its jacks and its location. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. So for tiny homes that you do, Murphy bed, you build Do you custom build them, or do you typically do queen size bed? Yeah, there's some kits you can buy. I've considered making it from scratch, but there's kits you can buy, at least the metal hardware components, and get a blueprint kit. And then from there, it gives you all the measurements. So I got those off Amazon before, and that's been very helpful because you know there's a lot of precision with getting it just right. And so yeah, I've done a lot of queen size Murphy beds. And what feature do customers forget to ask for? I mean, this kind of correlates with the question, just that I think that there is some work on the buyer's end in buying this house just to maintain it. Like I was talking with Clint earlier in our talk, just the fact that your overhangs aren't, you know, super big, and that this is a moving structure. There's just some maintenance that you might have to do, you know, beyond a traditional house. And then even like the propane water heaters, we use all instant propane water heaters. Depending on your area that you're in, if your water's real scaly, has a lot of calcium in it, you might need to flush those out and wash those. And there's a little bit more maintenance that I think customers maybe don't. They see the TV shows and they just see that this is going to be this easy, simple lifestyle. And it is to a certain degree, but I think there's some maintenance and care on the homeowner's end. Do you see this current health financial crisis increasing demand for tiny houses? I think so. I'm running pretty hard these days and don't have a ton of time to answer emails or inquiries. But I would say, yeah, in the last 60 days that I've got probably hundreds at this point of people wanting something, wanting to build or wanting to collaborate or something. So I've definitely felt the energy picking up from that. And hydraulic beds. I tried to do one, but I didn't feel confident enough in it with how it operated to release it. What mission work were you part of? An organization called YWAM, Youth with a Mission. Financing company do you use? It's up to my buyers to find financing. It's definitely not the area that I'm super skilled at. And so for the most part, buyers are coming with their money ready to go, whether they're selling a property or borrowing from their family or friends, or just happen to save up that amount of money. Do you interior design them or have a designer in the team? No, I do it all myself. We just have 3 guys in our crew. So what kind of wood do you use? I use a lot of walnut, sometimes oak, but walnut's definitely my favorite. The Willamette Valley walnuts. The Willamette Valley is the area around here. So I love using that kind of stuff. And let's see. Do you ask for money down? Yeah, when we're building speculative, usually we'll start to maybe put out the word about, that we've got a house coming available. And at that point, a buyer can put money down to hold it. So I usually do 10%, holds it for 10 days, at which point the rest of the funds would be due. And that's been working well. Let's see. Have you lived in a tiny house or just built them for others? At this point, I've just been building them for others. I've had some parked at my property for an extended period that I've stayed the night in and just tried them out. But, my original dream when I first got into this was to build one for my property. And now, I haven't got around to that yet. I've just been too busy building them for other people. But I'm thinking this summer, maybe it's time to go ahead and build one for myself to have at my property. Either to use as kind of a rental that people could come stay in it, or kind of be a showroom. And so Meg, hi Meg, she's asking, are tiny house dwellers in their house for long spans of time or typically just renting out. I'm not sure on the exact numbers of my buyers, but I would say, I mean, probably 2/3, maybe plus of them are living in them full time. And it seems like it's working out well for them. And what do you think of gooseneck versus bumper pole? It seems like right in that 30 foot plus range, they start to go to gooseneck. I personally, just from kind of a design or aesthetic standpoint, I think the bumper poles look a little better to me than the gooseneck. So that's one of the reasons why I've stuck with the bumper poles. And they're just easier to transport. But obviously, if you need that extra space, you want to, bedroom up on the gooseneck portion, that's always a nice option. I feel that just from a business owner standpoint, that there's so many different directions I could go, but I think it's kind of eliminating all the directions you could go and just choosing, where do you want to add the most value to the industry. And so for myself, I've kind of settled in on that 30-foot trailer. I enjoy working with that trailer. And so we've kind of just locked in on that and are focusing in on that. And it seems like there's plenty of buyers for what we're offering. So it's been good. So we just have about 2 minutes left here. Any final questions? Cool. Thanks for all the interaction, guys, and the questions. This has been fun, and yeah, I just want to encourage you with whatever your part is in this whole movement, whether you're currently living in a tiny house or you're dreaming of living in a tiny house, or whether you're building tiny houses, just to continue on. And I fully believe in this movement, and especially with all that's going on with the virus and with people being in a place of instability. That I just think housing is such a fundamental need, and it's for most people kind of their biggest purchase they're going to make in their lives. And so I'm definitely committed to doing my part to build the best, small spaces that I can. I hope you're all inspired by that, encouraged by that. And so I just, exhort you on to action and to pursue your tiny home dream, or to live your tiny home dream, and to invite others into that as well. And so thanks for watching, and any other final questions in the last 18 seconds? Sweet. Do you sell to Canada? Yeah, I've sent one to Canada, to Toronto. I don't ship overseas currently. Haven't really dealt with that, but mainly just try to keep them in the U.S. And try to keep them local if I can. I think there's plenty of other builders all over the country, and so I kind of focus in on the West Coast. And if I get inquiries from the Far East, I have friends over there that we go, move them towards and say, you want to connect with these people and try to support them, just so we're not moving them all over the country. So I think that's about it. So thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you on some of the other chats.